How's it going, everybody? This is the Nitty Gritty. My name is Chad. With me, as usual, is Leonard. This is a show about wrestling, and we are, of course, talking about WrestleMania 42 this week, which is what most people are talking about this week. Everybody has something to say about it. I watched it. Leonard did not, but Leonard will chime in as he sees fit, and we will go from there. Obviously, there is.
Once again, I'll reiterate that I did not watch it because I do have the Hulu Disney bundle, which gives me ESPN, but I do not have super duper mega imperial at ESPN,
Right.
so I can get to WrestleMania, and I'm not paying the extra. Before, I think we talked about this before, but you were very nonplussed about the card going into it, and I say that I was as well, outside of a few matches.
Right. Yeah, I mean, so we've talked about it on other shows. I don't watch the WWE product as much these days. I keep up with it through YouTube, social media, that sort of thing. So I know what's going on. But as far as like the in-ring content and who they're pushing, like it's just not my cup of tea. Whereas, I tend to like the style that AEW has. I tend to like their characters a lot better. And the focus over there, whether you like it or not, is on wrestling. And as we will get to, I do not think that the focus of WWE is on wrestling as much any longer.
And meanwhile, I'm watching episodes of Continental Championship Wrestling from 1987,
And
where the focus is on wrestling.
that's right. Well, let's talk about WrestleMania. Let's get to some of the facts here. It was held in Paradise, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium. Attendance for night one was 50,817. Night two, 55,256. John Cena is your host.
Do we know how many of those people were there for both nights?
No, and the way they do these numbers is always weird because they incorporate everybody that's obviously inside there.
Right. Well, I say that's church numbers.
Yeah.
When I used to work Sundays, I would occasionally cover special events or services at churches, and you would say how many people were there, and I would have people complain, and the reverends were always fine with it, but it was like, well, see, church numbers, or you count every single person in the building, including the preacher and the choir and the woman playing the organ and every little kid down the junior church in the basement.
Right.
So yes, I call those church numbers. You count everybody there. They're probably counting the people running the cameras and Triple H and.
Right, that's what I mean. Like at church numbers, where it's like a handful of extra people, cool. But like for WWE, obviously, we're talking about hundreds, and it is what it is. At this point, their attendance is always going to be pretty good.
It doesn't necessarily matter as long as the arena looks full.
Yeah, I mean, I would say
for TV, it just needs to look full. It doesn't matter how those people wound up there.
I would say that these numbers are not as good as they were hoping they would be.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's my opinion. We've heard about the ticket prices and how they possibly had to switch up some storylines and what they were going to do to kind of increase ticket sales. Whether or not any of that's true, I can't confirm it, but I would say looking at these numbers compared to previous years, these can't be numbers that they're, super psyched about.
And of course, we don't have pay-per-view numbers. I mean, but do we have PLE numbers? Do we have any idea of how many people are actually tuned in?
I'm sure it's a lot, but again, I'll bet you it's not numbers they're going to be psyched about based on what you said, which is you have to have a certain tier of ESPN to be able to watch. The first hour, I guess, of each one was on ESPN2 or whatever they were saying. But still, like to me, it's like the way they do it now is kind of a hot mess. But yes, John Cena is your host. He just retired. He's already back as host of WrestleMania. The Las Vegas Mass Choir would sing God Bless America to introduce night one. Let's get to the matches. The first one, the six-man tag. The Usos and LA Knight defeated Logan Paul, Austin Theory of the Vision and I Show Speed, 7 minutes, 8 seconds. I gave this 1 star. My comments here are that, I mean, this was nothing. They were tried to then make I Show Speed a face at the end, after, having him be a heel for all this time. It's just, to me, didn't work. I don't care about I Show Speed. And you know what? I care even less about Logan Paul. And Austin Theory might be talented, but I just don't think that it's working. I don't. But that's.
Well, this was a match that was basically the Usos and LA Knight are names that you
Right.
need to have on the card. You just need to have them on the card. And this is just where they got shoved against, again, 3 other names. I mean, I Show Speed is what? He's a TikToker, he's an influencer.
Correct. Yeah, influence.
Yeah, but again, try and get that celebrity boost. And
Yeah.
Austin Theory has been a project they've been working on for years. And
yeah, and they repackaged him into being this darker version, and I don't think that's working either. And by the way, the TKO, the guy who's in charge of TKO, his name escapes me, but he has said that the celebrity involvement is going to be a big direction going forward. So if you don't like it, you better get used to it. Second match, Jacob Fatu defeated Drew McIntyre in an unsanctioned match, 14 minutes, 9 seconds. I gave this 2 stars, and I think that's being generous. I like both these guys, but calling this an unsanctioned match is a joke. I don't care if you're geared towards kids or not, Leonard. When you shove a wrench in somebody's forehead and it doesn't draw blood, what are we doing? What are we doing?
What you need to have a T-shirt that says that.
I don't. Like they literally do a close up on it and the crowd pops for it. They're like, oh, and then it's just nothing. So like, what did he do? Just, hold it there? Like,
yeah.
I realize.
Well, here's the thing. I think that you could get blood in this situation one time in one match, and this would be the match to do it in. Now, I do like that they put Fatu over. We were talking about how they need to create stars. And of course, Fatu is a younger guy than, say, Drew McIntyre. Has been around less than Drew McIntyre, so I do like the fact that Fatu went over here.
Yeah, no, and I expected that to happen. Drew McIntyre has been on top for a bunch, and he is a stalwart at WWE. I would say I don't think he's going anywhere, and they're really high on Jacob Fatu, so I expected this to be the outcome. And they're all after WrestleMania. They're pushing Jacob Fatu right into a program with Roman Reigns. So, good on him. But I would call this sanitized hardcore. Wasn't really a fan. The third match was the Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Women's Tag Team match. Brie Bella and the returning Paige defeated the irresistible forces of Nia Jax and Lash Legend. Another team, Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss, and then Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, 8 minutes, 33 seconds. I gave this a 1.5 stars. The big news here is, of course, Paige returning. Cool. I like Paige. I do. I like Paige. I think that, the way she wrestled in AEW, she was kind of having consistent either injury or health issues that would keep her from being able to be on screen. I hope that is not an issue in WWE. We'll see how much she's used and what she does. But, she's back, and that was cool to see. The Irresistible Forces, Nia Jax and Lash Legend, came down wearing bedazzled versions of the Demolition masks.
I did see pictures of that, which I did think was kind of neat.
Yeah, and of course, they went into the Hall of Fame, which I'll comment on that as well as we get towards the end. But Demolition was in attendance for this. They showed them, and I'm sure that they, when they were younger, they were thinking about a tag team, women dressing up to pay homage to them. I mean, it's kind of crazy. to me.
Yeah, well, back in the
Uh,
day, yes. Now, I hope they appreciated it.
I'm sure they did.
I've met them several times at different shows, and I mean, they appreciate the fans. They seem like they're pretty cool guys, so
Yeah.
hopefully they appreciate it.
The fourth match, Becky Lynch defeated AJ Lee, 8 minutes 15 seconds for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. I gave this a star. I don't think that these two have chemistry. This is the fourth time that they've been in a match together, not all one-on-one, but it is their fourth encounter. The outcome here was obvious because Becky Lynch hadn't won one. So, of course, they were going to have her win here. I don't think AJ Lee is going to be a 365er in this division. I think she came back to, give a slight push to the women's division. But I think that this match was sloppy, and I've told you before, I think that Becky Lynch was kind of carrying AJ Lee a little bit.
Yeah, she said Lee is definitely, and I never thought she was good in the first place. I think I've said that before.
Yeah.
It was just that she looked different, and her attitude and her personality was different. But I never thought she was great in the ring.
Yeah. The next match, Gunther defeated Seth Rollins, 17 minutes 52 seconds. I gave this 3 stars. This was a good match, but it's not nearly on the level of what these two guys are capable of. Mm-hmm. And anybody who is like making this seem better than what it is, you need to go back and watch any of the other matches that these guys have had with other people. This wasn't like 17 minutes, 52 seconds on this WrestleMania is a lot of time. But in reality, it's really not a lot of time. For these
two guys with the type of match they can do and the type of story they
can do. And
you mentioned time, but we'll get to that here once you finish the
card. So it wasn't a clean finish, and I think that also damaged it. But yeah, I kind of settled on it at 3 stars. The next match, Liv Morgan defeated Stephanie Vaquer for the Women's World Championship at 6 minutes and 51 seconds. Gave this 2 stars. It was short. It had its moments, but I thought it was overbooked for its length. There was interferences. Again, obvious outcome. You knew they were going to go with Liv Morgan here. And following this match, there was a short segment with John Cena coming out, and Bianca Belair came out and announced and revealed that she's pregnant. So she will be out for the foreseeable future. So congratulations to her and Montez Ford. The main event for night 1, Cody Rhodes defeated Randy Orton for the undisputed WWE Championship, 22 minutes and 44 seconds. I gave this 2 stars. The rumor was that Orton's back was hurting him going into this. I don't know if they just played that for the match, but they made it part of the match, and it looked to me like his back was genuinely hurting him. It is possible that Orton's just very good at what he does. But
after all this time,
but it looked to me like it was legit, and I would say based on the fact that Orton didn't win, leads me to believe that there's something going on there.
Well, from what we talked about, that was the only match that you missed as far as your pre-predictions, correct?
Yeah.
From night 1.
Yeah, because and we also talked about how the AI on Google revealed that Orton would win, which was clearly not the case.
No.
But
who did you pick? Because Paige wasn't in your, but you didn't pick the Bellas to win the women's tag.
No, I wouldn't have.
I don't know. Basically.
Yeah, I don't know who I picked there, but yeah, I certainly thought Orton was going to win, and he turned on Pat McAfee, I guess, because the crowd didn't like that whole team up. I don't know. So that's night 1. Now I do have some stats on night 1 that I don't have for night 2, but some of the stats that I have here, there were 57 minutes of commercial breaks, 61 minutes of entrances, and 98 minutes of wrestling. And this was a 3-hour, 55-minute show. Basically, you can round it up to 4 hours. To me, those numbers are not anything to be proud of. And I don't know if it was you, Leonard, or somebody else I spoke
I
to.
sent you a meme that I found that had like the numbers.
Did you deem this the entrance era? Was it you who said that?
No, no, I wish I did. I'm not going to claim it though. Was that Ronnie? Because I know you and Ronnie were talking during the
Somebody, it maybe it was Ronnie. If somebody like called this the entrance era, similar to the Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression era, and
Yes.
man, that totally fits. Like it
Well,
totally,
everyone does seem to have a very elaborate entrance from what I've seen and when I see it.
and that's the thing. Like, it, and we said for years, like WWE's production is, another level. The pageantry, the this, the that is so great. They've made it so that like they focus on that so much that they have taken away even more so of focusing on like what they're actually doing, which is the wrestling, because it is so much about the entrance now, and it's egregious to me. And I think there were some critics who said that they became so good at their production and stuff that they've kind of gone overboard with it. But in any event, we'll have more thoughts here at the end. Night two, Joe Jonas sings the Star Spangled Banner. And we start off with Obafemi defeating Brock Lesnar, who was with Paul Heyman, 4 minutes, 46 seconds. Gave this 2.5 stars. The big news coming out of this entire event, of course, is that it appears Brock has retired. He took off his boots and his gloves and left them in the ring. He was visibly crying in the middle of the ring. Um, Everybody, of course, now is speculating, is this just, leading to an angle where Gunther calls him out? Or are they going to have him do something and retire in Minnesota, whereas, he's, started his career? I don't know that he lives there now, but um, who
He'll
knows?
be back, even if he's legit retired.
So here's the thing. This surprised me because I thought, well, Brock's just going to be that guy who comes back for Mania and maybe SummerSlam. Like he's just going to be that guy forever because he still looks like unbelievable. So
Yes.
like I just assumed that he would play that, like he'll just pick up a paycheck and come out once or twice a year and it'll be fine. But this looked legit to me, and apparently not a lot of people knew. Um, and apparently I didn't watch Raw after WrestleMania. First time in many years I didn't, but apparently they did a video package which was somewhat haphazardly put together, as if they didn't expect to have to do one. So I don't know that to be true, but yeah, this was surprising to me. But you know what? I think if he is done here, it makes sense. He put over another guy. You know, the fans were into this retirement, unlike I think by the end of John Cena's run, where the Never Give Up actually did give up.
It was announced and you waited for it for a year.
Right. So if he did retire, just very briefly, because this could be its own topic. Like in the past year, you've seen now AJ Styles bow out, and now, as it seems, Brock Lesnar bow out. Those, for me, again, I don't watch it as much, but those are two guys that I was still very interested in.
Sure.
And now that they're gone, like there are so few people in WWE that I'm interested in seeing. It's just kind of insane to
Well,
me.
I would say it's good that he put over Obafemi because that is what I've been hearing is Obafemi is the second coming. He's the next dude. He's the next big thing. Don't nod your head like that.
He's he has potential.
He has.
I won't tell you he doesn't have potential.
Mhm.
Calling him the next big star, I think it is too early to tell. That's the nice way I can put it.
Yeah, that's fine. I can't say that I'm a huge. I was just digging at you. I'm not a huge Obafemi fan. I don't know a lot about him. I would agree from what I do know that he does have a lot of potential, and certainly Brock Lesnar putting him over, I think maybe puts too much pressure on him than if he had maybe one over. I don't know. I was trying to think of another
You
name.
said it. You said it. It puts a lot
Yeah,
of pressure on him because everybody's saying the same thing. He's the next big star. He's the
yeah.
next big star. Okay, great. I hope he is. Um, we'll see. Like they seem to be high on other people. We'll get to that. The next match, uh, Penta defeated Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio in a six-pack ladder match for the Intercontinental Championship. 15 minutes, 8 seconds. Gave this one 3.25 stars. It was entertaining,
Mhm.
this might sound ridiculous, but I thought, again, this outcome was not surprising. It was logical because if not Penta, who else? Rey
Mhm.
Mysterio is too old. Rusev, stop. JD McDonough, all they do is mention his head. Dragon Lee and Javon Evans, both very talented guys, but they're not going to put the IC title on those two guys right now.
Well, let me ask you this: would it have been better if someone else would have won, or would you have complained? Why did they do that?
No, I wouldn't have complained. This is
Okay.
this is if I was picking, I would have picked Penta. Penta is a
Mhm.
star for them,
Yeah.
and I'm happy about that. Penta is very good. I enjoy watching him. And if I were booking it, I would have booked him to retain. I don't know that I would have him retain in a ladder match, simply because the ladder match at WrestleMania at this point is like not about my point that I was going to end up making was it's not about who should be vying for this championship. It's about who can create the best moments in this match.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I make the arguments I do because Javon Evans, they're very high on Javon Evans, but he's young and he'll get there, I'm sure, at one point. But like the IC title is still a significant title within this company, so it's too early for him. So I think that there should have been some more people in this match that you're like, oh man, they could win or they could win, but there was not
Well, I
any.
think the only thing you could do is you could have had even Javon Evans win, and then but Penta in a ladder match, Penta doesn't have to lose.
Right,
Like Penta can be elsewhere,
right.
and then you could build up something. See, here's what I'm saying: where you said, Obafemi's too much too fast. You could take your Javon Evans, you could take your Dragon Lee. They could win here, say over Rey Mysterio, at being the two guys climbing at the end, because Rey can take any loss.
Right.
And then you have a feud through the summer to SummerSlam of them versus Penta, and a rising tide is going to carry all ships.
Yeah, that's absolutely an idea.
Yeah.
You know, I just for some of these guys, it feels like they're always going to be in the position they are. Like JD McDonough, for example, who's talented. In when it was NXT UK was a thing, he was very good. Rey Mysterio though, like Rey Mysterio's, he has nothing more to prove. Like
He's 107 years old.
yeah, like he's still great. Really, I dig Rey Mysterio, always have. And again, a lot of good people in this match. As I said, I'm sounding very pessimistic, but
You are. I
but
heard, again, what I heard is that night two is way better than night one.
which is absolutely true, and we'll get to that. Um, the next match, Trick Williams with Lil Yachty defeated Sami Zayn for the WWE United States Championship in 7 minutes and 7 seconds. Gave this one 2 stars. They love Trick Williams, and they being WWE. The fans are digging him too, again, because of his music and his entrance, which is a big part of his character. Some people think that that's great. Again, I'm not digging like this era of what they're presenting, but like the crowd is very into him. The company clearly is pushing him to the moon. Um, I don't know if Sami Zayn has been showing heel tendencies leading up to this. Maybe he has. It seemed a little shoehorned into this match simply because they want Trick Williams to be the face. That's kind of how I took it. But if he's been kind of presenting that side of him for a while now, then maybe I'm totally off base. So yeah, this match was what it was. The Demon part of Finn Balor returns. He defeated Dominic Mysterio in a street fight, 10 minutes and 27 seconds. I gave this a star and a half. I had said we were chatting, Ronnie and I were chatting. Ronnie said they've been using the advertisements on the tables for a while now. I will take him at his word of that. Somebody else commented on it in the media for this WrestleMania, and just talked about how they're like, no, it was Matt Morgan who said that like made a comment about it, how they're like whoring themselves out, WWE. I do think it's goofy that there's sponsors on the tables. I do. Like,
Well, they've been doing that for a few years, like the Mountain Dew Pitch Black match.
oh
Yeah.
God, yes.
And again, boxing has had sponsors on the hoods and the gloves and the mat and the
Well, that's the thing. Like,
UFC too. I mean, I'm not against that because everyone else is doing it.
well, I think that if you do it too much, you can like. So we'll jump into this. Ariel Hawani, who a lot of people know and have seen interview clips with, he called the whole event soulless because of stuff like this. Like he's kind of said, paraphrasing, like everything was for sale. Like it just felt so soulless. Like the overhead shots, which is a cool shot, but it's like also there so that you see all the sponsors around the ring. Like it's like it's very TKO. When you watch UFC, you expect to see that. With WWE, like you don't necessarily expect to see that. Is it okay? Yes, it is in theory. Do I think it takes away a little bit of the soul and the heart of the product? I also think that, yes.
Yeah, now I was playing devil's advocate. I can't say that I enjoy that or do like it. And yes, you can do too much with it. But, sometimes I think wrestling fans can live in a bubble where they go, oh, how dare they do that? I'm like, everyone else does it.
Right. True. No, that's very true. Very much a valid argument.
I'm not saying everyone else is right as well, but just saying it's something that is permeated through all sports and sports entertainment these days is the overproliferation of putting sponsors on everything.
And you could argue that it's a problem across the board.
Yeah.
To go that route. So this match was, again, it's a street fight, but it's not really. Every match had some stuff outside. Every match felt like it went to the announce tables. Again, if you're gonna have stuff on the outside, like change it up a little bit. Like there was some tables, like I said, with the Slim Jim tables, but it's just, to me, like the street fight aspect of this is not. They didn't really lean into that.
It would be cooler if the tables were made out of Slim Jims.
That would be cool.
And they just crashing through a giant Slim Jim.
The next match, Rhea Ripley defeated Jade Cargill for the WWE Women's Championship, 10 minutes, 8 seconds. I gave this 2.5 stars. So since I started watching her in AEW, Jade has clearly improved. They have good trainers for the women's division in WWE, for sure. She's clearly improved, but I knew that they were kind of, I don't know. It seemed like they were maybe not sour is the right word, but they were kind of like done with her being in this role. They like Rhea Ripley in this role. She brings in more fans for sure.
She's the new Charlotte Flair. She's the one they're always going to go back to right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So this match was okay. The main event of night 2, Roman Reigns defeated CM Punk for the World Heavyweight Championship, 33 minutes, 56 seconds. I gave this 4 stars. This was the best match of both nights because it told a story, because it had time to tell a story. Do I think that this was like a perfect match? No. But, it was a good Roman Reigns match. CM Punk is usually pretty good in the ring. I thought that these guys did well together, and it was a really good main event match. And of course, Roman Reigns won. We knew that was going to happen. I assume he's going to be on top for a while, because they, being WWE, are comfortable with him being in that role.
Sure.
So yeah, night 2 better than night 1 for sure, simply because of that main event, I would say. But again, there was a time, and we've talked about this before, but where we wanted WrestleMania, like, oh, it's so long, you need to go to 2 nights, and everybody was kind of like in favor of that. But now I think they've gotten to a point where they could whittle it down to 1 night, and they'll be just fine.
Right. You don't have to go and look, but if you say take your top 7 matches, Like that's a good show. That's probably what 2.5 stars and above, right? Of what you rank things.
Yeah. No,
Uh-huh.
absolutely. And so some of my other thoughts, um, I think that I've talked about the outcomes, and based on, now I watch wrestling a lot, so I can kind of see patterns and maybe where other casual fans wouldn't, as Leonard could as well. So the outcomes being not surprising to me, it might not be that way for everybody, and I understand that. But I do think that there was a little bit of lack of suspense overall in this event. Uh, because anybody who's watched WWE for a little bit, I think, can see where they want to go.
Well, logical booking should always be what you do, but at the same time, you should also build it so, especially in your top few matches, that there is some question. Either guy could go over and it makes sense. That's what I'm trying to get to. Either
Yeah,
guy could go over and it makes sense.
yeah,
Like you said with the ladder match, it only makes sense that Penta wins. Where if you put in a different name, or maybe if you took a little time to build up Dragon Lee a little bit more, Javon Evans a little bit more, so you at least had one other guy right there, it makes sense.
yeah. No, absolutely. And we kind of mentioned it, but the ads, I think, who was it? Brian Alvarez and Dave Meltzer had talked a little bit about this after, was it after the Gunther Seth Rollins match, or right before it? One of the two. There was like 45 minutes of downtime. And like it's just a momentum killer.
Yeah.
And it was like, this was not the type of WrestleMania where you felt like, I need to sit and I need to see every second of this and I need to be glued to my screen. Like, I mean, like for instance, like the Dominic Finn Balor match, you could take my rating with a grain of salt because, I was walking in and out of the room because, you know, it didn't really have that must see to me. Like none of most of this didn't. Um, and the ads really did kill it. We pay for these tiers of ESPN and we're still getting ads. like, why? you know, at what point do the ads become too much? I think in this case, if this is the direction that TKO is going with WWE, it doesn't, have me enthused for the future.
Mm-hmm.
It really doesn't.
Well, people just need to speak with their pocketbooks.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then don't get it, don't watch it. Do something else if they get the message, because there's going to reach a point where no matter how many ads they put in, they're going to lose money because they don't have anybody to look at those ads.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, the more choices like this that WWE makes, the more opportunity there is for any other wrestling company out there to build their brand. And that could be any company, you know. So I just, that my opinion of this WrestleMania, overall I would give it a thumbs down. And if I'm way off base, please let me know what you think. I think that the matches that were decent, like, were just that. They were okay. They weren't like, create out of this world great, because a lot of these talent didn't have time to tell their story. Like all these matches felt so very structured, very specifically, um, like kind of like by the numbers. There wasn't a
Well,
lot
it goes back to what we talked about before. Everything is so scripted now. You don't call it in the ring, or you at least don't say, "Okay, well, here's the finish, and you know what I like to do. I know what you like to do. Let's go out and do it." And
Yeah,
I assume CM Punk and Roman Reigns probably had, and you said it told a story. And those are two guys that would probably be like, "Okay, I know what you do. I know what I do. Here's the finish. Let's go do it."
yeah. And like I said in our rundown of the card, these guys worked really hard on all the shows to build this feud.
Mm-hmm.
And
And
as
they
a
worked.
result, you cared about this match. Even if you knew who was going to win, you cared about the match enough that you wanted to see what would happen. And that's the difference. And I don't think everybody else got that opportunity. They didn't get that. Maybe they got that opportunity on the shows, but not the event itself. Um, say what you will. So yeah, this was definitely a mixed bag for me. I don't know if you heard anything else, Leonard, that you want to comment on before we sign off here.
Not particularly. I think I've kind of chimed in on what I've known about, and again, I don't feel like I've missed out on anything, and I don't feel like I've missed out on anything where modern wrestling is concerned. No matter what company you talk about,
Right.
I'm happy watching my Continental from '87.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll have to watch more Continental going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let me know what you thought of WrestleMania. And you know what? Honestly, I don't mean this in a sarcastic way. Who are you looking forward to in the future? Like, if are you really looking forward to Trick Williams? Are you looking forward to Obafemi? Are you hoping Cody Rhodes stays around for decades? Like, I am curious to know what fans are really looking forward to. Because I don't see it. I don't. So, yeah, let me know. And check out our other episodes as well. Rebooks. We do Unstable Stables. A lot of other stuff. We're available wherever you listen to podcasts. For Leonard, my name is Chad, and we will see you next time.